Yay, we're live. Hey, back.
Good.
Are we? I don't know anymore. My
It
computer
says
doesn't say we are. Yeah, I see that. Okay, we're live now. We got this.
right on.
Oh, shoot. I have an intro. I'm, forced to play this. Hi, guys. You guys are watching the Mac and Cheese podcast, which you would hopefully be getting a podcast once a month or twice, multiple episodes a week. It depends on the schedule, realistically. With my friends, with one of our friends or celebrities. If you want to be a guest, please email us at macpodcast2023@gmail.com or DM us at Twitter at macpodcast2023. Today's guest is a member of one of my new favorite podcasts. What is it called again? What's your
uh,
podcast called again?
Sons of the Star.
Sons of Us are. As you can see, we do have a Cowboys fan today with us. Their Twitter will be in the bio, so if you want to check them out there, please do. We are now partnered with Ohana Packer Edition Network. They have amazing articles and recipes about the Green Bay Packers. Also, please follow at Ohana_Packers because when they get to 523 subscribers or followers on X or Twitter, they will be giving away a signed 8x10 picture of Jair Alexander, cornerback from the Green Bay Packers. Okay, so we can do that later. This is from one of my friends, Justin. Most of these questions either came from my friends or Mac and other people. So, what is the worst loss from the Green Bay Packers that you've seen?
The worst loss to the Green Bay to the Cowboys losing to the Packers.
Yeah.
I mean, the obvious answer is the most recent
Yeah.
game, the
Oh, right.
48-32.
Yeah.
Um, Not sure that's the worst loss in history, but it's the worst loss I've seen. The Ice
Right.
Bowl,
I was gonna say the Ice Bowl. Yeah.
yeah, the Ice Bowl might be the worst loss because it was so close.
Mhm.
I knew at the point at 14-0 when Dak threw that pick six. I've seen this movie before. This is a rerun. So,
Yeah.
it wasn't really stressful after that point. You just start kind of laughing with your evil laugh and you just drink a little bit more and the pain, the pain goes away to the following morning. So, I mean, obvious answer would be the most recent, and that's what sticks in my mind the most. Is probably the most painful right now. But historically, since it was first round of the playoffs, I would probably not say that was their worst loss to Green Bay, but that's the one I remember for sure.
I was gonna say because the overtime last season, Aaron Rodgers, Mason Crosby, as well. There's been a lot between the Packers and Cowboys.
Yeah, that regular season game in Green Bay last year was a tough one because
Or 2 seasons ago at this point.
yeah, 2 seasons ago, yeah, the Cowboys had that game under control in the fourth quarter. I think they were up 14, and I think Mike McCarthy remembered, hey, they named a street after me, so I better
Oh,
stop
right.
scoring points here. Here, go ahead and have the game. If you guys want Mike back, I might be able to pull some
Um,
strings.
how about no? We will not take him back. He's your guys's. Actually, that's kind of a question about Mike McCarthy
Yeah,
too.
well, I know we'll get to him later. I'm sure. I got
Yeah.
a few things to say about old Mike.
Oh, okay, great. Do you think Jerry Jones will ever sell the Cowboys in the future?
No, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
if it was about money, he would have sold it. I mean, this guy's taken uh, a team that he bought, I believe, for 500 million or something like that, and now we're 8.9 or 9 point something billion-dollar franchise.
Oh wow.
If it was a it's the most valuable franchise in the world, including all the soccer teams in Europe
Right.
and baseball teams and everything. So he could sell it and live
Mm-hmm.
comfortably for obviously for the rest of his life. He's in his
Right.
80s, which
Right.
tells me he's not going to sell it. I mean, if he was going to sell it, that investment returned a long time ago. So at this point, he's just stubborn old grandpa, and he's going to stick this out, and he's going to show us all that he can do it. So I don't expect him to sell the team. No.
That's amazing. Um, I don't know what to say next. Did you ever go to the old Texas Stadium before, the one
Yeah,
before AT&T?
no, the original Texas Stadium. No, I've been to AT&T, the new one. I grew up out on the West Coast, in actually in Washington State is where I went to grade school and middle school and high school. Went up to Seattle and saw the Cowboys play the Seahawks. When I was a kid, I got to see Roger Stott. Well, actually, at this point, Roger had just left. It was the following year I saw Danny White and Tony
Oh wow.
Dorsett and all of them old time Harvey Martin, Randy White, all those guys. I remember that as a kid being in Seattle, being in the old Kingdome, sitting way near the top and cheering for my boys and they won that game. So I was already a fan, but as a young child being at that
Yeah.
stadium where everyone else was cheering against them and they won, that really set me up for life. And at that point I couldn't get out. I was stuck in Cowboys Nation and did not know that I'd be suffering later in life, but hey, I stuck with my team.
Sorry, Isaac's making fun of the title. What we called it? We called it Texas Cheesecake. You're
Yeah, that
awesome.
works.
He's
That
making fun
sounds
of it. He's
that
making fun of
sounds
it
pretty
right
good.
now.
If
He's
I
making
had
fun of it
some
right now.
Yeah, if I had some ribs for dinner and somebody
There you
said
go.
I'm gonna bring you some Texas cheesecake after the ribs, that sounds pretty good to me.
There you
I
go.
bet I bet you he would eat it too.
He's actually shopping, I think. That's what he told me, anyways.
Right on.
I don't know if he is because he's not in the comments. Isaac, where are you? Um, Speaking of Dallas, do you think the Chiefs will move to Dallas?
That'd be great, but
Uh,
I think it's a bargaining chip over there with them trying to get that new stadium. I don't think Kansas City is going to allow a Super Bowl winning franchise that might be lined up for a couple more. I mean,
mhm.
let's face it, Mahomes is still a young man, and Andy Reid's still coaching. So as long as those two are on the field together, Travis Kelce
Right.
included, like we might see more of them winning Super Bowl. So I can't imagine they would, but it's interesting because they are the original Dallas franchise. It was the Dallas Texans, I believe, in
Oh.
62, maybe 62 or 63. They left Dallas and they moved to Kansas City. The Hunt family still has their roots in Dallas, and they still spend a lot of time there. So it's not as crazy as it sounds to
Mhm.
suggest Kansas City going to Dallas because they are the original Dallas Texans, and they had a star in their helmet with the state of Texas on it, and it was red, and that was the original franchise before the Cowboys. So it's not crazy to talk about them possibly moving back. We've seen
Right.
that with the Raiders, and we've seen other teams that have moved and come back or move again. Seems like the Raiders are moving every 5 years.
Do
But I mean, I don't think it's going to happen. But it's not as crazy as it sounds. I'll say it that way.
you think the Rams will ever move back to St. Louis then?
That would be interesting. LA doesn't seem to do a fabulous job of keeping teams in town, but
No.
that new $1 billion stadium or whatever that thing costs they got over there, the SoFi Stadium,
Right.
that might keep teams around for a while. So they that's what Kansas City needs to look at. I'm not saying the taxpayers need to spend that much money, but you build a stadium like that, then your team's not going anywhere. I don't think. I would be surprised if they did.
Yeah. Um, are you over with Dak Prescott? A lot of people want to know. What are your opinions about him? Do you think he's done?
Yeah, I mean, geez, he went from MVP candidate to
Mm-hmm.
the sewer in a span of 3 hours, and
Right.
some of that is fair criticism. Most of the criticism comes from our own fan base, and
Yeah.
I think they're just frustrated with lack of winning in the playoffs.
Right.
Um, I think he's on a short leash. I think is the best
Mm-hmm.
way I can put it. I think we're going to roll him out there as a starting QB
Mm-hmm.
and give it half the year and see what happens. And I'm sure they'll be 6-2 or 7-1, and we'll be back believing that they're going all the way. And the
Okay.
playoffs the playoffs might change that, of course. But I don't
Right.
think that I think this could be Dak's last year if he doesn't get
Uh,
to
uh-huh.
the NFC Championship. I think that's the bar.
Right, and it depends who you guys play. Like, you guys can play the Packers again. It's possible at this point.
Yeah, I mean that seems to be the road to the NFC Championship game usually goes through Dallas or Green Bay for some reason. They seem
You're
to be
right.
facing off, you know.
Yeah,
They all
that's
they
crazy.
all they don't face off in the championship game too much. They did in the 90s, and
Hmm.
that's when the Cowboys were having their way with Brett Favre back then, but
Right.
that changed when Rodgers came to town, and I guess whatever kryptonite he had to stop the Cowboys, he passed it on to Jordan Love. So
Right,
here
and
we
now
go.
we can't
Here
get
we
past.
go.
And now we can't
Here,
get past the 49ers.
well, somebody's going to have to do it. They're not my favorite team, that's for sure. I'm sure you feel the same way.
I
We
feel that, yeah. It's like Bears, Vikings, 49ers. Like,
yeah, they're
the Lions
tough.
are not that bad. Like,
They yeah, it's because you guys beat them for so long. You know,
hmm
if they end up getting to the Super Bowl, I'm sure Packers fans will be like, wait a minute, where'd these pesky Lions come
well,
from? I
I
don't
mean,
like.
when the 49ers kicked us out, I kind of wanted the Lions to win, though, to kick out the 49ers, in my opinion. That's what I
Yeah,
wanted. So
yeah,
it's like,
I was cheering for the Lions as well, but I would have
mhm.
cheered for the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. So it worked out well in
Right,
the end.
right. Um, do you think, you said you think Dak will be gone after this season coming up?
Yeah, I think the bar is, from what I hear,
Hmm.
and I don't know anything more than any other fan, but I try to spend a lot of time studying the material.
Hmm.
From what I hear, the standard, the bar is set at the NFC Championship game. If he gets the team there and they lose, I think they're going to re-sign him because he's gone somewhere that no one else has gone in 28 years. But if he loses, or if the team doesn't get in the playoffs, or they lose first round or losing the divisional round, I think Dak hits free agency, and 50-50 shot we don't see him again with a star on his helmet.
Oh, what team would you want to see him go to?
Well, I mean, anytime you lose a star player, you hope they go to the AFC. Just
Oh,
like
yeah.
Rodgers did. You get Rodgers over in the AFC, and you guys don't have to
Yeah.
deal with him. You can
Yeah,
even
but
cheer for him.
Aaron Jones to the Vikings, like,
That
that
hurts,
hurt
right?
us. That one
Yeah,
hurt
that
us.
hurts. That hurts. That's why I would not want to see Dak, playing in Washington or
Mhm.
Philly
Right,
or New York. Um,
right,
so if you're going to let him go to the AFC. But
right.
it is what it is. These guys are just trying to make money nowadays.
Exactly.
They don't seem to care whether they played for Green Bay last year and the Vikings this year. Just give me my check. I guess
Right,
that's the deal.
right. But it's like the Packers got like Josh Jacobs. What is your opinion about him?
I mean, great pickup. Great pickup. The only thing that I would say about that is I thought Aaron Jones was pretty dang good. So I don't
Hmm.
really know what happened there. Maybe it was a financial decision. I think you just kind of switch one great back for another. So, you guys are going to be
Yeah.
fine. And there's some optimism there with Jacobs, like coming in, and maybe he's going to
Right.
work a little harder in training camp. And I think it's a good pickup.
How about Xavier McKinney, former Giant?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I probably have to say good. You got him because we don't want him. We don't want to face him on the Giants. Although the Cowboys have beat the Giants 6 games in a row,
Yeah.
and last year was, gosh, I go off the top of my head, so forgive me if I'm a little
No,
bit
it's fine.
off. But first game was 40-0, and the next game, geez, I want to say it was 47-20. Their
Oh,
next
wow.
game. So last year it was 87-20 Cowboys over Giants. So
Oh, wow.
um, yeah. So hey, if we could play the Giants 17 times in the regular season,
Hmm.
we'll get that home field advantage,
That's the same thing with the Packers and the Bears. Like, I feel like
right?
it's the same thing. Like,
It's 100% the same, and that was a discussion I had on X today. Um, I run some historical polls, and rivalries were the theory, was the theme today,
right,
and I put that Green Bay and Chicago was the third greatest rivalry in the NFL,
yeah,
which I thought was low, but I'm getting ripped right and left to saying this is not a rivalry because the Packers win every year. Well, it's true they do, but historically, I think that they're pretty even. So that's a pretty good rivalry to me. And hey, who knows with Caleb Williams going to Chicago, most likely, maybe that
Yeah.
rivalry gets renewed, but probably not this year.
I
Probably
was gonna
not
say,
his rookie year.
with the Packers going to 4-3 defense too, because we were a 3-4. And the last time Packers has seen a 4-3 defense, Super Bowl
There,
2010,
there you go.
2011 season, last time ever.
There you go. Yeah, that was that's your buddy Mike McCarthy. He's the
And
one who got you there.
it
So
is 14 years coming up too.
there
That's
you,
another
there
thing
you,
people have to realize. It's already been 14 years
yeah,
since
I
last
know
time.
it's we take a lot of heat over here
Oh,
in
I bet.
Cowboy Nation for 28 years of not having a Super Bowl, but you start looking at other franchises like Green Bay and 14 years, man.
Hmm.
You you had Aaron Rodgers all those years and he only got it
I,
done once.
yeah,
It's amazing. You would think that they'd have multiple rings
yeah,
by now.
for sure.
But you guys got a nice situation there with Jordan Love and
Hmm.
everybody's fired up and he's re-energized your fan base and
Right.
that's awesome. I mean, I don't think
So,
anybody's missing Aaron Rodgers right now.
no, I'm not, or at least I'm not.
Yeah.
Do you watch college football? Or
Yes. Yeah. I'm a
so? How
huge
do you think? Okay, yep, that's right. How do you
Notre
think
Dame.
Jeff Hafley's going to do with the Packers? I've heard some good and some bad.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a little adjustment when you come from the college game, but the X's and O's
Right.
are the same. I mean, recruiting compared to free agency, totally different, but
Right.
coaches don't normally have to deal with that. And
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, you've seen Jim Harbaugh come over back and
Right.
forth and had success. So why not? I wouldn't see any issue with that at all.
Do you see more college football coaches coming to the NFL, like to coach the game or something?
Yeah, I mean, the problem with the college right now is you've got the super conferences forming,
Right.
conferences are breaking down. The Pac-10, what I grew up out west,
Yeah.
with Washington and Washington State and USC, UCLA, it's like that's never going to break up, right? Well, boom, it's
Right.
gone.
Right.
So I think that Jim Harbaugh is a perfect example of a guy that said, "Look, I'm going to get out of here because there's so much changing. Rules are changing. You got the NLI, you got players getting paid, you got conferences breaking up, you got a new national championship tournament coming in. It's a
Right.
good time to get out. And I wouldn't be surprised if more big name coaches move to the pros unless the NCAA figures out what they're doing. Because nobody knows what's going on over there. All we know is that kids are getting rich coming out of high school. They're getting paid,
Right.
and I don't know what's going on over there, but I still love the product. I still love college football. I love Saturdays in the fall.
Hmm.
Turn the game on in the morning and watch it till late at night, game after game.
Yeah. Yep.
Love it. I miss that.
I mean, it's going to be coming back soon in
Yeah.
August. So,
Yep.
and then like the NFL, like after that, it's going to be
Yep.
fun. Um. Oh, Isaiah McDuffie is from Boston College, and um that was his last year as a in Boston College with Hafley.
Yeah.
And he's back. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Um.
They'll be good. They'll be fine. They're playing a lot of a lot of those big colleges now are playing NFL style offense and NFL style defense.
Right.
So I don't see. I mean, it's not like 30 years ago where it took a while for them to adjust to the different game. And I think the games are kind of we're getting so many young players in the NFL now, 20, 21 years old.
Yeah.
Like, there's not a whole lot of difference in
No.
the X's and O's are the same, I always say.
So we all know Packers are going to be one of the, or if not the youngest team again this season, because right now the average age is like 24. We're super young.
Yeah. Yeah, the only thing I would warn you about
Hmm.
in my friends in Cheesehead Nation, I've got a lot of them.
Hmm.
I'm a Cheesehead friendly Cowboys fan. The Cowboy thing in in 2016 was that the year that the dreaded Dez catch, the
Hmm.
the Cowboys were the youngest team in the NFL They were the
Oh,
youngest team to ever win a playoff game. They had rookie Dak, they had rookie Zeke, and it was like, oh man, we're going to win 6 Super Bowls with these guys. We were the youngest
yeah,
team in the league. Not to rain on your parade over there in Green Bay, but just a warning: don't ever take anything for granted. You got an opportunity to get through those playoffs. You got to do it because you may never get back. Ask Dan
exactly.
Marino. Dan Marino was a rookie quarterback. Miami took the
Yeah.
team to the Super Bowl, lost. Everybody's like, oh, he's going to be back. Never got
Oh,
back. Never got
oh
back.
wow.
So,
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean,
yeah.
like Rogers has said, like it's an up and coming team, many
Yeah.
years.
Oh,
And
I
I
agree.
personally think if Bach didn't tear his ACL like in 2021, 2020, we would have been in the Super Bowl.
Yeah. And I've
2020
used
was an easy year.
I use the Packers as an example on our pod all the time.
Hmm.
Is that, everybody's trashing the Cowboys for not doing anything in free agency, but
Right?
why are the Packers as good as they are, and how did they get to that second round of the playoffs? And they, quite
Oh,
frankly, could have won that game against
yep.
the Niners. They did that through the draft. You
Yeah.
drafted. So, hey, I'm not happy with our free agency. Don't get me wrong. I'm not. We didn't sign anybody. Yay. No, that sucks. But I'm not panicking and jumping off the bus. Oh, I'm not a fan anymore. I'm boycotting because we didn't spend $10 million signing Derrick Henry.
Yeah.
Like, no, we got a draft. The Packers did it. You can do it. And
Exactly.
it's not a rebuild, it's a
Right.
reload. You reloaded. The Packers were good, and then they reloaded. Now they're even better. So
Ex- yeah.
that gives me hope. That gives me hope as a Cowboys fan. Can we draft well and get players that can contribute their rookie year? If you
No. Yeah.
can, you can go far. I mean, you could go. You got a veteran quarterback with Dak,
Hmm.
who's struggled in the playoffs. Not always. Everybody. They talk like he's 0-10 in the playoffs. Remember, the man who retired Tom Brady was Dak Prescott. He went into Tampa last year. He threw 4 touchdowns. His QBR at the time was the highest QBR
Yep.
ever recorded in the playoffs. He played a
Hmm.
perfect game. Um, in Tampa on the road, and Tom Brady retired after that game. So Dak can get it done, but
Right.
you got to start well. I mean, the Cowboys started in Tampa. You started well.
Yeah.
You get up 7-0, or I think it was 6-0 because it couldn't make a damn extra point for the past, the last 2 games of the year. Last
Hmm.
year we couldn't make an extra point, but
Right.
or a field goal. But you
Right.
start early, and Dak plays well. Dak plays well when the game's close, or we're ahead. But when
Yeah.
you ask the guy you're down 14 in the first quarter, and you're
Hmm.
asking him to make something happen, that's when a pick
Right.
six happens, unfortunately. So a
Yep.
lot of blame can go around that whole team,
Hmm.
but Dak isn't completely innocent of the blame, but he's certainly not to blame. If you really
Right.
look at, I mean, the Cowboys scored 32 points against Green Bay,
Right.
and well, yeah, maybe that was garbage time. They had cut it to 8 points in the fourth quarter, and
Exactly.
that game wasn't over, but it was over because the defense could not stop Jordan Love. They could not stop him, and the game was over because of that. It really, you can't blame that on Dak completely,
Right.
completely. But when he threw that pick six, it's 21-0. He throws a pick six, the game's over. I will tell
Yeah.
you that. And
Oh,
that's
yeah.
when the game ended. You can't come back from that. They
And then
tried.
the second, yeah, and then the second pick six,
Yeah, it's just
like for the
I,
touchdown.
yeah. And at that point, you can't run the ball anymore. All
Right.
you can do is throw the ball. And
Right.
Green Bay knows you're throwing the ball every play. Yeah, they're going to
Hmm.
get some. They're going to get
And
some interceptions, for
right, and I
sure.
don't know if that's because like the Mike McCarthy like offense, like you said, because the Packers like Aaron Jones knew that playbook.
Yeah, that
I don't know if
it
that's why
really,
or
we
what.
can we can blame Dan Quinn, our defensive coordinator, who's now
Hmm.
the head coach over in Washington, for
Hmm.
playing a zone against Green Bay. And when Jordan Love was asked, he went on the Micah Parsons podcast. They're
Right.
all
Yep.
it's funny because they're all buddies.
Yep.
You think they hate each other, but they're all it's like a fraternity. He said, "What happened? What did you guys do in that game to beat us so badly?" And Jordan Love said, "Well, you had safeties playing linebacker, and you played zone defense. So, I,
Yes.
you know, well, that's Dan Quinn. That's the defense coordinator who is now gone, and Mike Zimmer, your old friend from Minnesota, who's a really hard-nosed, old-school defensive coordinator. We signed him, or hired him to come back to Dallas, and I'm excited about that. I don't think that we'll be playing that defense again if we see you in the playoffs, but that doesn't mean we can get past you, because Mike Zimmer never
Right.
could. He never. I mean, I think he did. He got the team to the NFC Championship.
Hmm.
Maybe once or twice. I don't have the stats in front of me. He did a good job, but they have 0 Super Bowl wins, obviously. So he didn't do that
Yeah.
great of a job, or they'd have a ring by now.
Right. I mean, it's the Vikings too. Like they still have
Yeah,
0 rings. So.
yeah. The poor Vikings. They when I was a kid, they went to the Super Bowl 4 times. And it's like, that's a
Right.
good team. They're going to win one. Well, here we go, and
Right.
I'm 53 years old, and they haven't won one my whole
Okay.
life. And it's like,
Hmm.
man, at least I'm not a Bills or Vikings fan to have to see your team go 0-4 in the Super Bowl. That's
Yeah.
brutal.
Or Lions who have 0.
Yeah,
That's
well,
fun too.
I'm almost rather never get there and have 0 than go 0-4.
That's a good point. Yeah,
you
because
know,
you don't want to see your team lose. Yeah.
when you get there, it's exciting. Get there
Hmm.
and you're like, we've come this far. You want
Right.
them to win it.
Right. No, I agree. Like 100%. I think our defense is going to be fun with Joe Barry being gone. I'm excited.
Good. Yeah, changes are. It's always exciting, these off-season changes, and until
Right.
one of the wheels falls off the bus, and you're like, why did they fire that guy? Well, that's hindsight. So we'll see what happens.
I mean, I think the thing is, he's an excellent linebackers coach. So I don't
Yeah.
think they're going to have a problem with the
No,
Dolphins.
they won't. They won't.
But he's also the defensive coordinator, linebackers
Yeah.
coach, and defensive coordinator for the Dolphins. And what people have to remember, the Dolphins come to Green Bay this season coming up. It's going to be a Joe
Nice.
Barry revenge game. It's
Yeah, I
going to be
like
Joe
it.
Barry revenge. It's going to be
Yeah,
fun.
the Dolphins, they're an up and coming team as well.
Yeah.
Um, I'm a fan. I like Miami ever since I was a kid because of the Dolphin.
Right.
Like, oh, they're the Dolphins,
Right. Yeah.
but
Yep.
they're not traditionally a tough, hard nosed team going into Green Bay and
Right.
trading blows with them. I'd be surprised if they come out of there with a win, but a lot can happen between now and then. But
Yeah.
I don't have Miami in the Super Bowl. Let's put it that way.
It also depends on when the Miami comes to Green Bay, though. Like it could be
Yeah,
during winter, like,
then
or it
forget
could be in
about
the
it.
fall.
You remember when they went to Miami, had to go to Buffalo in that cold, and it
They
did
were
not
not good.
go. Yeah, it did
No.
not go well. It's not the high flying offense when it's 30
Yeah.
below. So in
I
the
mean, Green Bay.
frozen tundra.
Yeah, Frozen Tundra, Lambeau Field. Yep. 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 Don't have to tell me that twice. What are your thoughts about Mike McCarthy?
Yeah, oh Mike. I mean, is he's a good coach as long as you have a Golden Corral nearby. You got to have a Golden Corral near the stadium, near the office, and then he's happy. Um, he's a
Right.
good coach. I mean,
Hmm.
the Cowboys are 3 seasons in a row going 12-5, and in those 3 seasons, only one playoff win. But
Right.
that's 37 wins in 3 years. I mean, you're up there with the Chiefs as far as regular season wins. So you got to say, Mike, you did a good job. Jason Garrett would go 8-8 every year. So
Right.
you're doing a good job. I
Hmm.
need you to do a great job. When you got talent to win 12 games 3 years in a row, then I need you to step up one more level and get us through the playoffs. And for
Right.
some reason, Mike has not been able to do that. We're going to find out this year. He's in the last year of his contract. He's got to prove himself. And I'm not only thinking he has to prove himself for the Cowboys to get retained, but
Hmm.
who's going to hire him if they fail this year? If
That's
they
a good
fail this
point.
year, and I'm looking at it from the outside, if I'm the Carolina
Yeah.
Panthers, if I'm the
Oh my
Carolina
God.
Panthers, and I'm like, hey, if I can bring Mike McCarthy in, we can
I
win some
mean,
games. But you're not going anywhere. So I think
yeah, I
Mike's,
was gonna say also the Panthers just hired a head coach, so that'd be kind of
yeah.
hard.
Well,
I mean, I could
not if they go 0 and
toss.
7. They go 0-17 this year. They'll be getting a new
Yeah,
coach. So
I could
who knows?
toss. Well,
They're not good.
I don't know. Like
I
I
mean,
love
go
Evero.
ahead.
Like I love Evero. Their
Yeah,
defense. Like I don't
yeah.
know.
and they're I live in South Carolina now, so that's
Right,
kind of the
right, right.
it's not really the local team. In South Carolina, it's a
Hmm.
mixed bag, but they are the team that we have on TV and the
Right.
local news or whatever. So I get a lot of Carolina coverage, and
Yeah.
they're just not good. I mean, they got a long way to go. I don't know what's going on over there, but yeah, they're
Yeah.
they're going to need a lot of work. They're going to have to draft well, and I don't know. I don't think they've had any big splash free agents this offseason, but I'm not completely locked in on what they're doing all the time. But they're not
Yeah.
they're not a they're not a good team. We know that much.
Yeah. And their like general manager, owner is not good either.
Yeah,
I could see Mike McCarthy going to college though. Or like I don't know.
interesting. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if Mike. I mean, he's pushing. I think he's pushing 60, so he could probably
Um,
continue to coach, but
okay.
he doesn't need to. He's probably got enough money that he could ride off in the sunset. But you
Yeah,
know,
that's a
he
good point.
he's got this year to prove. That I think what he does this year will determine how he's going to
If
be
he
set up
stays.
for the rest of
Yeah.
his career. Even if he doesn't stay, like if he fails there, I don't know who hires him. I really don't. Maybe he
Right.
takes a year off and comes back. That's what he
Like
did
he
last
did
time.
with you guys.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yep. Do the same
Maybe.
thing.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, like you said, who would hire him? The
Yeah.
Vikings? I could, oh my
Uh,
God, I could see the Vikings doing that.
yeah, it could be a
Or the
team from
Bears, maybe?
yeah your division. That's
Just
a
to get
good point.
revenge, maybe?
Yeah, that's a good point to get a coach that he has coached in that division, and he stayed in the
Right.
NFC with Dallas, so he's familiar with the division. Yeah, that could happen. That's a good point.
Oh, yep. I see what you mean. Yep. That
Yeah,
would be, oh my God. Just imagine that storyline now.
yeah, that'd be crazy.
Speaking of all in, do you guys think you guys are truly all in to win another Super Bowl soon
So
with your free agency somewhat?
we got a great episode. If y'all enjoy our content today, go back to Sons of Star Pod and you'll see we have an episode called All Out. And in All Out, what I discuss is, unlike the media
Hmm.
covering Jerry's comments when Jerry said all in, what Jerry
Hmm.
actually, and this is not a defense of Jerry, I'm just going to clear up what Jerry said. He said we're going to be all in on retaining our contracts. We're going to be all in on signing our
Oh.
guys. Now, what he means is you got Duron Bland, who set the single season pick six record this year as a second
Hmm.
year player. You got
Hmm.
CeeDee Lamb, who put up
Right.
1,700 yards in receiving, like a video game. You got Micah Parsons, who's just an absolute freak of nature. All
Right.
three of those guys are
Hmm.
up for contracts for the next 2 years. So what Jerry was
Oh.
saying is, I got to pay these guys. And everything that we've done in the offseason matches my theory that he's
Hmm.
going to pay these guys first. Those
Hmm.
guys get paid, then we look at free agents. Well, those guys probably have good agents
Right.
and they want to make money, so there's talks going on that we don't know about,
Yeah.
and they haven't
That's such
they're
a good
not
point.
they got to have the money. Look, we got a salary cap, we got to
Yeah.
have money to pay. I mean, is there a free agent out there that you would sign right now and let Micah Parsons go? No
I mean,
way. No way. You want to keep Micah Parsons. So I
yeah.
mean,
True.
that's what they're doing. Now, do I agree with that? Not really, because what I say is, you got those guys next year. They're all
Right.
signed. They're not
Right.
leaving. Let's go
Right.
all in with some free agents and try to win this thing. But
Yeah.
I mean, apparently that's not the plan. And maybe we'll be up on here next year talking about, wow, Jerry was a genius because now all these guys are signed and they went to the NFC
Right.
Championship and they're all coming back. Well, unless that happens, Jerry's not a genius in this case, but hindsight,
Yeah.
right? We're going to find
Yeah.
out. But that's
Because
what the all in comments were.
okay, that makes
He
more sense.
doesn't, and I said on the podcast, I love Jerry. Jerry's my guy, but I joke with him. I
Hmm.
said, Jerry, he's the crazy old grandpa in the corner of the room. Stuff comes out of his mouth because he's 80 years old. And
Hmm.
sometimes you just smile and nod your head and say, yeah. Well, the media
Right.
runs to the microphone and says, Jerry said they're all in. They're all in. They're going to sign Derrick
Right.
Henry. They're going to sign Saquon Barkley. They're going to sign this guy. Jerry never
Yeah.
said he never said that. But he gets himself in trouble, and they
That's a
put
good
them.
point.
But how many of our grandparents, if you have grandparents or great grandparents that are in their 80s,
Yeah.
could you throw a microphone in front on national TV and trust that they're not going to say something stupid, right?
Yeah.
So
That's a good
that's
point,
Jared.
though.
That's what happened, and we did an whole episode on it. We broke down, we read his comments, and we played his
Okay.
comments, and we broke it down. And what the media reported, shockingly, right? The media wouldn't do
Right.
that. The media reported all in. That's all they said, all
Right.
in. But they didn't say what he said before and what he said after, which was he's
Okay.
all in on signing the guys we have. So
Oh.
far, so far that's
Okay.
not true. Yeah, we haven't signed any. But well,
Right.
I mean, they've signed a couple backup guys and retained some guys, and they've signed some guys. Just haven't made that big splash in free agency like you guys did with Jacobs, and like the Eagles did
Berkeley.
with
Okay.
Barkley.
Yeah.
Who I got my opinions about that. I did those 3 days of that tampering period or whatever they call it was hope that we did not sign Barkley. I want nothing to do with a guy who hasn't
Wait,
finished a
why?
season. He hasn't finished a season since high school.
Oh, really?
He's
I
been
didn't
hurt
know
every year. He's been hurt
that.
every
Oh.
year.
Okay.
He continues to get injured. I don't know what's going on with that. Maybe it was the Giants. I don't know, but I just think
Mhm.
for the amount of money you just spent on that running back, and if
Right.
he plays 9 or 10 games and he's not available
Hmm.
in the playoffs, that's
Hmm.
not a good sign. So
Oh.
maybe this is a year for him, but I wouldn't
Yeah.
want to be relying on that guy, if he's injury prone, and there definitely
That's a
is
good.
such a thing. I mean, if you're
Right.
injured 5, 6 years in a row, if you
Yeah.
continue injured, we broke it down in our pod, and I think he's played 9 point something games per year in his career,
Oh, wow.
right around 10 games a year, I think it was. Well, you got 17 games a year plus the playoffs. I don't think
Right.
10 is not a good number to pay that guy that much money. But
I
if
didn't
he
realize
stays
that.
if he stays healthy, but I don't know
Right.
if that's going to happen.
So, what was your thoughts about Derrick Henry getting
I I
possibly
thought
going to the Cowboys?
Yeah, I thought that was the move, and I spent a lot of time on the podcast talking about this is the
Oh,
move. This is the
yeah.
move we make. You
Hmm.
restructure Dak, you free up some money, you sign
Right.
Derrick Henry, and you still draft a rookie running back. That's what I thought we were going to do, but didn't happen. I think they're going to go. They're going to draft a running back early in the draft. That's what I
Oh.
think. So,
Do you
you
think like
know,
a round one running back or what?
oh no, no,
No.
I think they're going to go after Brooks from Texas. That's just my feeling and what
Makes
I've been
sense.
reading. They had him in this week for a visit. The
Okay.
doctors,
Okay.
he had an ACL injury in college, so the Cowboys doctors took him in. I can't imagine what went on in there, but they took him
Right.
in. They did a full checkup on him and said this guy's good to go. He's 100%. So I
Okay.
think that to me, like, why would you spend the time and the effort to bring him in for a
Right.
visit and to visit our doctors and do a checkup unless you're getting ready to draft him?
Yeah,
Um,
that's a good point.
Third round would be perfect for
Okay.
running back, but he might be the first running back taken in the draft, so they might have to jump on him in the second. Or maybe they make a trade.
Yeah.
Interesting, funny thing is I believe we have the 24th. We have the 24th pick, and you guys are 25 or 26, right? You're right behind
25.
us.
We're
Yeah, there
25.
you go. So I joked when I was on the Packers Without Borders show. He said you
Hmm.
guys were looking for a safety, and I said, just joking. I said, I think Cowboys are looking for a safety. They're going to take the best one at 24. You guys are screwed.
Oh my God, no.
But we're not. No, no. Cowboys aren't going to take a safety. They're good in the safety position.
Yeah,
Um,
I've seen a lot of Packer fans actually want Cooper DeJean round one in the
yeah,
first round. Or, like, I kind of want Kool-Aid McKinstry round one, too. Like, I want.
Kool-Aid. Yeah, yeah. Kool-Aid has been rumored to be at a lot of teams, and I think it's just because of the name. It's a really cool name. But
Yeah,
he's a hell of a player. I think you guys would be smart to get either one of those guys in your defensive backfield. That's
yeah.
I think your biggest hole right now, according to my Packers friends. They're telling me safety.
Hmm.
A guy that could play safety and corner or come up and blitz, but safety
Right.
is your
Also,
target for round one.
middle linebacker. Middle
Yeah,
linebacker. Horrible for
yeah.
us.
Now Dallas did pick up Kendricks out of San Diego, out of LA, the LA Chargers
Right.
linebacker free agent. They did sign a free agent. He's a former Pro Bowler, linebacker, and then Leighton Vander Esch retired. So Eric Kendricks will be coming in and taking his spot. So
Yeah.
I think Dallas will still look at linebackers in the draft. That just kind of gives them that veteran presence. At least we have an older guy. He's 30, maybe 31, somewhere around there,
Hmm.
which is young to me, but NFL age, that's getting up there.
Right.
But he should be fine this year. So that's the one area that we did go out and get in free agency was a linebacker,
Yeah.
and then the rest is just, I guess we're waiting for the draft, or they're waiting. I mean, it could happen right now while we're talking. Maybe they sign
Oh my
somebody. I
God.
don't know.
Please do not sign anyone, guys. Please,
You never
no.
know.
I
You
don't want
never
to
know.
cover that tonight. No.
Right. Yeah.
One player I wanted you guys to get so bad is AJ Dillon. AJ
Yeah.
Dillon would like fit your guys' mold, but
Yep.
no, you
Yep.
guys had to give him back to us.
Yeah. That
Rude.
was a big rumor, but we got a guy, that backed up Pollard,
Hmm.
and I guess they're just going to draft, and they're just going to use the guys they have, or maybe they're going to pick. There's a couple. Hate to say the name, but Ezekiel Elliott is right now the top free agent running back available stats wise. So who knows? Maybe they'll bring Zeke back, but they're still going to draft. I mean, the Cowboys are going to draft their RB1 in the draft, just like they did last
Yeah.
time. They had a true superstar running back was Ezekiel Elliott,
Oh
his
well.
rookie year. His best year was his rookie year, in my opinion. That's when they went, and they had home field advantage. They had it all set up, 13-3. He's a rookie. Dak's a rookie. So people are, I got Cowboys fans saying, "Man, I don't want to draft a running back and rely on him as a rookie." I'm like, well, when's the last time we had a good running back, superstar running back? He was a rookie, so it can
Well.
happen. Look at. I mean, the rookies showed out last year on your team.
Yeah,
So
for sure.
these guys, if they're ready to play, they're ready to play. And it's just forget about the age and let
Yeah,
them play.
that's actually a great moment that you said about like your guys' owner, Jerry Jones, because Gutekunst Packers don't have an owner, as people know, but Brian Gutekunst said the same thing. Aaron Jones will be back post conference, like
Right.
after the season and at the combine, and look, he's not back.
No.
So
Yeah, there's a lot of games being played, I think, between teams and players that are due for contracts that we don't know about
right,
the ins and outs, and the negotiations, and
yeah,
the agents that are lawyers. These agents
yep,
have law degrees, and it must be difficult to try to get a guy in for a fair amount of
yeah,
money, because they're all blowing themselves up saying, I deserve more, I deserve more. But you got
mhm,
the salary cap, so what do? You go on the mic and you say, we want this guy back. Well, they
right,
do, but they don't want him back for the money he wants, and
yeah. That's a good point.
that's when he's gone, and then you get Jacobs, and I don't know, don't have the numbers in front of me, but maybe AJ wanted more money than Jacobs did, and you guys got somebody for less under the salary cap, so you can sign somebody else.
We do have space to sign someone else, but I'm not sure who at this point.
Yeah,
I think because well, I'm waiting to see the Jordan Love contract because that's gonna be the next biggest one. I'm thinking in May,
yeah,
like
yeah.
after
They
May 3rd, we can officially sign him. I think.
good. Yeah, I mean, that's the future right there, and unfortunately for your organization, he has all the cards right now because he
Right.
did something that no one expected him to do. So now's the
Mhm.
time to get paid. And if you don't pay him, he. I'm not saying he would do this, but these are situations where a guy wants to pay because he proved something last year. His stock can
Mhm.
only go down. His
Right.
stock can go down. So he's going to want to get paid, and you're going to have to pay him. And if you don't pay him, who knows? What if he
Yeah.
holds out or something crazy? I'm not saying he will,
Oh
but
Lord.
you're going to have to pay that man. And then again, not to give Jerry all this credit, but that's what Jerry's talking about. You got to pay the superstars on your team first. If you don't pay Jordan Love and you go spend all your money in free agency, how would the
Right.
Packers fans feel about Jordan Love being a free agent? They'd be
Oh Lord.
ticked.
I don't even want to hear it
Yeah,
right.
right. So you're going to take care of it.
Yeah.
You guys are running a nice, efficient organization over there. Um,
Yeah.
they seem to make good, practical decisions. People think it's crazy. They let Aaron Rodgers. They think, hey, why'd you let Aaron Rodgers go? Oh, now I
Right.
see why. Oh,
No,
that was smart.
right. It made sense from the start, like to cut him
Yeah.
when we did. It
Yep.
was.
100%.
I
Well,
think some
you
of
got
it
to trade. You got a bunch of
exactly.
guys on trade. I mean, you
Right.
just raided the Jets locker room. I'll take him. I'll take him. I'll take him. Oh yeah, and
Right. But
give me a little him here too. And here you
that's a
go. Have
great
this
point.
guy, and you get
Hmm.
Aaron Rodgers for like 45 seconds, and then his leg is going to
That's a
blow up.
great point because people have to realize the Aaron Rodgers trade is not done yet officially.
Yeah,
It's done
you're
this
still getting
job,
stuff. Yeah, you're
this a
still
second,
getting.
I think. But
Yeah, that's fantastic. But we'll see. I mean, the
mhm.
the book hasn't been written yet.
Right.
Rodgers wins the Super Bowl in New York next year, and
Oh,
then you go, dang it, why'd we let him go? But
I mean,
I,
I don't know.
I wouldn't hold my breath on that. By the way,
I've
no,
heard people say, I've heard many people say already, Packers versus Jets Super Bowl, Packers versus Texans
yeah,
Super Bowl. Like I've heard both of those already.
yeah,
I don't know. It's gonna be an interesting
that's
topic.
something. At my age, I've learned to shy away from that because you got 17 games to worry about. And every time I think
Right.
this is our year, they go 8-8. So last
Yeah.
year, I was like, yeah, they'll probably be okay.
Hmm.
I'm going in the season thinking, yeah, maybe we can get a wild card spot, something. And then they win the whole division. They win the division and they
Right.
go 12-5, and I'm like, all right. And then they break my heart. But
Aw.
so you just never know. There's
Yeah.
no way to tell who's gonna be that surprise team this year. Who's gonna be the team we didn't expect that all of a sudden is good. Last year it was the Lions probably.
Yeah.
Um, you
I can see
know,
like the Texans, but the Texans
yeah.
were good
There
last
was the
year.
other team. Yeah, there's the AFC team. So you had
I don't
the
know.
Lions in the
Maybe
NFC, and you had the
Commanders?
Texans. Nah,
Commanders are
no, no,
doing
no,
no.
no. They're not going anywhere. No, 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 no.
Eagles no. Giants no. Yeah, I don't know.
Gi-
That's a tough one.
the Giants are disarray, but the Commanders are going to have a rookie quarterback. So I'm
That's a
not
good
I'm
point.
not. Yeah,
Yeah.
they're gonna be in a rebuild mode, and they're
Yeah.
gonna be better.
Right.
They were 4 or 5 wins or whatever this year. I don't know. They're gonna be better,
Uh-huh.
but they're not a Super Bowl threat. But the Eagles are always a threat. Um,
I don't know though. They
they've
lost a
lost
lot of
some.
players.
Yeah, they lost a lot of guys. They bring in Barkley and everybody's freaking out. They're going to the Super Bowl, but if they go to the Super Bowl, it'll probably be without him because he'll be hurt. He'll be in the training room. So we'll see.
Ouch. Eagles, hear him.
Hey, I said they're going to be good. I'm just saying it's not going to be Saquon that gets them there. It's going to be their defense, and it's going to
No,
be
yeah.
their receivers are amazing in Philly. They can score points. Something happened last year, though. I don't know what happened. They just fell apart. It was a
Hmm.
collapse. We were 2 games out with 5 games left in the season or something ridiculous, and all of a sudden we win the division by a full game. So the Eagles
Yeah.
just completely collapsed, and then they got slaughtered in the playoffs. But everybody wants to talk about our playoff performance, where
Hmm.
Philly they went to Tampa and laid an egg. I mean, they
Yeah.
they 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 were in trouble from 6 weeks before the end of the regular season and the playoffs. So I don't know where their momentum is coming from
Right.
besides signing Barkley. That's the only thing that's come out of that camp positive in a while.
Yeah.
Kelsey left, their center, their captain, their backbone of the team. He
Hmm.
retired. He's gone. So
Yeah.
we'll see. They're going to have to. Somebody else is going to have to step up.
That's a great thing that you meant the or mentioned captains because both the Packers free agency picks captains from their
Yeah,
former.
there you
So
go.
no.
That's good.
And people were talking about the Packers energy. I think it's going to be a great energy. I
Oh
don't know.
yeah, yeah. They're gonna be positive this year. It's gonna be
Um.
they're gonna be fun to watch. I love watching Jordan Love. I mean, I'm not a Aaron Rodgers fan.
Right.
Anybody who knows me knows that I'm not particular fond of the guy and his personality and the way he plays and his arrogance and all that. That's a whole show. I like what I see in Jordan Love. I love Jordan Love, the style of play, his attitude, his enthusiasm. I like what I see. I think you guys are much better off with the next 5 to 10 years of your franchise having him as
Okay.
opposed to AR.
So, speaking of rookie quarterbacks, I already know your opinions about this guy. What are your opinions on Caleb Williams from
Oh,
the
well, yeah,
your Bears
I
pick?
just, I
Yes.
mean, I know what I know, and as a Notre Dame fan, I
Mhm.
know that Caleb Williams came into Notre Dame this year and just got hammered. I mean, they couldn't score, they couldn't throw. He's throwing picks, they couldn't move the ball. He looked like he wasn't interested. His energy level was low. I was not happy. That's a small sample. I've seen him play well in the
Mhm.
past, but this year I did not. I mean, I didn't like the way he looked on the field. I didn't like his attitude. He didn't seem he wanted to be there, but maybe he was just cruise control waiting for the NFL. So
No, that's
they say he's the guy, but I haven't seen anything besides stats. I haven't seen
yeah.
the attitude and the work ethic that it's going to take to take a team that's terrible. If they're drafted number one, they were terrible last year. That's the truth. I mean, you don't get to draft number one because you won the Super Bowl. So
Right.
I, I don't know. Caleb's going to have to. He's going to have to prove me wrong. But right now, if I were a team picking number one, I
Mhm.
probably would trade. I probably would trade that pick. I would probably trade that
Oh.
pick just because it's uncertain.
Mhm.
I think the Bears should have kept Fields, traded the pick, and man, they could have loaded up. They could have put people around Fields to give him some protection, give him a running game. Maybe he could have been all right. But
Yeah.
now, you're starting over again,
Mhm.
and you're gonna pick your quarterback. So you're going to use your draft pick to pick your quarterback.
Right.
And what's different? If you couldn't protect Fields, how are you going to protect Williams? What's different?
Yeah. That's a good point. Um, do you believe that the Cowboys will be in Super Bowl contenders this year coming up?
That's a tough one because I'm never big on these predictions because they always come back to bite you in the butt. But
Right.
but what I will tell you is what I told you just a minute ago is they've won 37 games in 3 years, and the core of that team is C.D. Lamb, Dak Prescott, uh, Trevon Diggs, who, by the way, Trevon Diggs, who led the league in pick sixes before Deron Bland, was out the entire year last year on injury, and he will be
Oh.
back. So you got Diggs on one side, Bland on the other. You got Micah Parsons, you got C.D. Lamb, you got Dak Prescott. There's no reason to say if those guys stay healthy that we're not in the mix. We should be in the
Right.
mix. We should be in the
Right.
playoffs. You get in the playoffs, anything can happen, right? I mean,
Mhm.
so I'm not going to predict that they're going to be in the Super Bowl, but
Okay.
if anybody's counting them out, if you're saying, oh, they haven't done anything in free agency, they're going to be in last place. You know where to find me. We can place a wager. Mary can hold our money. She'll hold the money and Venmo the winner. But
Oh
I can tell
no.
you right now,
Oh
they're
Lord.
they're not they're not going to be anywhere but right next to probably the Eagles battling for that
Oh.
division title next year, and then the winner will go in the playoffs and
Yeah.
probably lay an egg. But hey, you got to get into the mix, and I expect them to be in the mix. I'm not a
Okay.
pessimistic guy about free agency. Free agency is overrated. It
Yeah.
gives us something to talk about. I mean, we're talking
Right.
about it. ESPN's talking about it.
Right.
FS1's talking about it. Why are we talking about it? Because there's no games on. There's no games
Exactly.
on. So
Yep.
we're all freaking out over everybody that gets signed when really at the end of the day, who had the best free agency last year? I don't know. I don't remember.
Yeah.
All I know is who won the Super Bowl. I know that. I bet you the
Right.
Chiefs. I bet you the Chiefs didn't have a great free agency. I bet you they didn't sign a bunch of new guys
Oh.
last year when they won the Super Bowl with Patrick Mahomes and
Mhm.
Travis Kelsey. You win the Super Bowl with your core guys. So
Right.
the Cowboys are bringing back their core for one more ride. I think this might be this year if they don't get it
Oh.
done. But
Right.
I expect them to be a playoff team. I'll put my neck out on that. I'll say they're going to the playoffs next year, and I'm going to
Mhm.
stop at that.
um. What is? Wait. What are the Cowboys' main draft picks for round one this year? And also, what are your thoughts about your coaching changes with defensive
Yeah,
coordinator wise?
yeah. These are great
Assistant head
questions.
coach.
Yeah, coaching wise, let's start with the coaching. Bringing in Zimmer, I think, was a fantastic move. I think it's the
Mhm.
right guy for the job. Dan Quinn's incredible. He he had Dallas leading the league in turnovers,
Mhm.
but as far as giving up total yards, we were not good. We give up a lot of yards because he plays kind of a, jump the route type defense. What happened, kind of this might kind of, I'll bring it back in. It might sound off topic, but I'll bring it back in. What happened in the playoffs was Stephon Gilmore, our star cornerback, former NFL Defensive Player of the Year and over in Indianapolis, who's
Mhm.
now in his 30s but playing in Dallas. He was injured in game 17 against Washington, a blowout win, and he's out there playing, and he tweaked his knee. I believe it was his knee or his ankle. Um,
Mhm.
and the Cowboys kind of tried to hide that a little bit. So they went into that zone defense because he couldn't play that bump and run coverage off the line of scrimmage. So we went into a zone, and Jordan Love picked us apart. So
Yeah.
first of all, I'm gonna wind it back in now for you. Getting
Mhm.
rid of Quinn was the right move because that was a huge mistake. He should have just played him straight up, and if he was hurt, get him off the field and put somebody else in. Don't
Yeah.
adjust your whole defense to one guy being injured. I think that was a huge
Exactly.
mistake. So, hey, Zimmer's coming in. I couldn't be happier about that. I think that was a great move. Probably the most positive thing that's happened in the offseason is hiring Mike Zimmer. No doubt about it. What
Right.
was
You
I'm
guys.
sorry. What was your first part of the question? I went right into the second.
No, you're fine. And also Al Harris. Do you guys
Oh,
like him?
brilliant. Yeah,
Dang
that
it.
was a brilliant
Dang
move.
it.
I thought we were going to lose him. And,
I know. I thought you guys were
look,
too.
when again, and gosh, it's going to sound like I'm a Jerry apologist, but if you listen to what Jerry said about being all in,
Mhm.
he went all in on Al Harris. He made him
Right.
the assistant head coach. So he
Right.
has that title now, which sets him up. When this season's
Oh.
complete, he's going to be able to go get a head coaching job because this guy was the assistant head coach. So
Right.
hey, I think Al Harris. I mean, geez, he's got our corners. You got Bland, who not only led the league in interceptions or in pick sixes, he set the all-time record. And the year before, the guy who led the league was Trevon Diggs, who was out with the ACL, and he's coming back. So thank God we got Al Harris still on
Yeah.
staff. Now he's got a bigger title and more respect.
Right.
He could be the guy to take McCarthy's spot. If McCarthy
Oh
leaves
my
after
God.
this year. So,
That would be
you know,
ironic.
yeah, that's exciting stuff. I'm
That would
happy
be
with it.
ironic because
Yeah,
both former Packers. That would be.
yeah, yeah,
Oh
no
my gosh.
doubt about it.
The first part of that question was, what is your guys's like number one need for draft pick?
Oh
And
yeah, yeah. I mean, it's offensive line. Um, they let Tyler Biotish, the center out of Wisconsin, was our starting center. He had
Mhm.
to follow another Wisconsin center, Travis Frederick,
Okay.
who was the best center in the league, and that
Mhm.
wasn't argued. He was an All-Pro, and he got an autoimmune deficiency disease or something, and he
Mhm.
lost about 60, 70 pounds, and he had to take a complete year off,
Oh no.
rehab, and take his medication. He came back. He played one more year, and he retired. He wasn't even 30 years old. He had to
Oh
retire.
wow.
So they drafted Biotish out of Wisconsin. He's an undersized guy.
Okay.
Again, I don't have the numbers in front of me, so forgive me out there if I'm
Oh,
wrong, but you're talking about a guy under 300 pounds,
oh
maybe
wow.
under, I want to say he's 5'11, 6'1 at the most, but
Okay.
he's an undersized center. They let him go. Washington scooped him up. Yay, take him. Go ahead.
Was he
And we're
good?
gonna, yeah,
Wait,
he
was he
was
good?
no, he just
Oh okay.
did the job. I mean, he wasn't
Mhm.
horrible, but he could never fill the shoes of the guy in front of him. So I
Okay.
believe we want to draft this guy out of Oregon. I believe it's
I know who you're talking about.
Jackson Powers Johnson. I believe
Yep.
his name is
Yep.
got the hyphenated name, but
Yep.
he's the guy. He's well over 300 pounds, big,
Yeah.
6'3" guy. Put him in at center. He's going to be able to pass block. He's going to be able to run block. He's
Yeah.
your guy. In my opinion, that's who they go after. But he's the number one center in the draft. Nobody's
Right.
disputing that. And
Right. No.
The Eagles get to draft before us because they had a worse record than
Yeah.
us. In case you're keeping track at home, we had the better record, so we're going to draft after them. Unfortunately,
Yep.
they
Yeah.
need a center. They need a center.
Yeah.
They might take him, And if they
Yeah,
do,
for sure.
I think we go after this tackle out of Oklahoma, Guyton, Tyler Guyton, I believe, who's just a monster. I mean, the guy's
Hmm.
like, 360 or something like that, and
Yep.
6'6", 6'7", and he's just a specimen.
Yeah.
So I think you put him in on the offensive line, and we've got last year Tyler Biotish was out 2 games, and
Okay.
we put in TJ Bass at center. TJ Bass was he was an unsigned free agent, and they picked
Okay.
him up, and he ended up doing a great job in those 2 games. So if Jackson Powers gets drafted by the Eagles or somebody else, maybe they grab Guyton and they make TJ Bass their center, and they'll be all right at offensive
Yeah,
line.
that's a good point because I've seen Powers Johnson
He's a
move from the
man. I mean,
Seahawks
he's
to
freaking
the
huge. I
Eagles.
mean,
Yeah, I've
yeah,
seen him
I
get
don't.
like to the Seahawks, to the Eagles. Like
Yeah,
I've seen
I
him
don't
to the
see
Cowboys a
him.
couple of times.
We'll be lucky to get him. If he's on the board at 24, I think we'll grab him. I mean
The
that.
thing is, he's also injury prone. That's the reason why he's dropping so much. I've seen
Yeah,
like recently he might be a second round pick at this point.
yeah, I would be surprised with his size, and he had a really good combine. They say,
Hmm.
he was putting up numbers, and he looked healthy. So
So
I don't know.
watch
We'll see.
watch the Seahawks get him because the Seahawks actually picked before the Eagles.
Yeah, we'll see. That's going to be interesting.
16-22.
I'm not going to panic if he's not there,
Hmm.
because there's a deep offensive line class. So any of these top 5 offensive linemen that we can grab in the first round I think that's their goal.
No,
I
yeah.
don't think they specifically said, this guy, or this guy. I think they've got a
Hmm.
pool of guys they're looking at, offensive linemen, and they know which guys they want, and it's going to be
Right.
which one of these guys is on the board at 24. So I
Oh
will
yeah.
be excited if it's him at center. I'm going to be excited because that's
Hmm.
an exact hole that we need to fill.
Right.
That would fill that hole, and if that's what,
No.
if you're building your team in the draft like the Packers did, you got to fill the holes in the draft, and that would
Right.
make sense.
Right. What this was from? I know you retweeted this question from today. How different would both teams be, like the Packers and the Cowboys, if Dak Prescott and Jordan Love traded places? I would take this one as if it was like last season.
Yeah, yeah, that's exactly what I thought he meant as well. And that is just such a clever question. I didn't see that
I
one
never thought of
coming.
that one.
Well, first of all, I would take it because Jordan Love is the younger of the two, and he's got less miles on the car, and he's going to go, play in the league longer.
Right.
So, I would take that trade right now today. But last year, that would
Right.
have been. I don't think that things would have been a whole lot different.
Mm-mm.
I don't think, like we've talked about already, that the
Right.
Cowboys lost that playoff game specifically because of Dak Prescott. He was part of it, but he
Hmm.
wasn't completely. So if we put Jordan Love on the Cowboys, the Packers probably still put up 48 points. And I mean, if I mean, right? I mean,
Yeah.
you put up 48 points because guys were wide open down the middle because we're playing a stupid zone defense. So
Hmm.
as long as you think Dak would make those throws, heck yeah, Dak would make all those throws Jordan
Yeah.
did in that game. I'm not saying every game. I'm just saying that specific game, dudes were wide open. There's a meme out there of one of your players like standing at the 2 yard line with his hands up, and no one else is in the picture. And it's like, what kind of defense were we playing? Dak makes those throws. I think nothing changes in that specific game. But, you know, having that younger quarterback on your team and the way
Hmm.
Jordan would playing at the end of the year, maybe the Cowboys have a little bit more confidence and maybe they go farther in the playoffs after that game. So I think Jordan might take them. Maybe Jordan Love on the Cowboys. Maybe the Cowboys get to that NFC Championship game. I don't know. That's
Yeah.
just, it's just a
I don't know.
guess. But I don't think that Dak is like, oh, Dak's terrible. If you put Jordan Love
No.
on that team, you're going to win the Super Bowl. Not at all.
Right.
Dak. I mean, who was in the MVP conversation and had finished
Dak.
second in
Dak.
voting? Dak.
Dak.
I mean,
Yeah.
It wasn't Jordan Love.
No.
Now, if you go to the playoffs and you look at the playoffs, you're like, well, Jordan
Right.
Love's clearly had Dak in the playoff game.
Right.
But
Or the
you
second half of the
switch,
season too.
yeah,
Jordan Love
and
second
he
half.
played really well second half. But Dak was putting up like video game numbers in the second half of the season. They were
Yeah.
still dropping 40 points on everybody. So,
Right.
I mean, it's just that defense just fell apart in the playoffs, and Dak he gets hyped up and he overthrows the ball a lot when he's hyped up. He did that
Right.
against San Francisco this year, and then he did it again in the playoffs. And like,
Right.
he played 18 games or whatever, counting the playoffs, and you're like, you picked two games all year to overthrow everything, and those are the two games that we needed W's out of. So it's
Yeah.
frustrating. I'm a
Right.
Jordan Love fan, but I'm not going to say if you switch those two, it makes a whole lot of difference last year. Going
Right.
forward, give me Jordan Love going forward. But last
Also,
year, I think it's the same thing.
right. Also, Jack would have to worry about all the young wide receivers too.
Yeah. Yeah. And Jordan, I
Uh,
mean, Jordan and CD Lamb, that's
yeah.
kind of scary. So
Yeah.
I'm hoping, and the only way I hope that ever happens is if Jordan Love comes over to Dallas. I hope that CD doesn't go to Green Bay,
God.
but yeah, that was a fun question by him. That's why I retweeted it. That was fun. It's an
I,
interesting question, and I've had some time to think about it today, and I
right.
just kind of laugh and say, all in all, I don't think there would have been I think they're both in the playoffs, and I think they're
Mhm.
both playing each other in the
Oh
playoffs
my
just like they
God.
did. And
Yeah.
if Jordan Love's on Dallas and Dan Quinn is calling the defense, you're probably going to lose just like we did.
Aw.
I mean, how do you can't win a game when the other team scores 48 points? That's for sure.
Also, the Packers need a new kicker. I don't know what's going on with Anders.
Well, you see, there's a guy in the UFL, the
I
new,
know.
and he hit that 64-yarder. And the Cowboys got a guy from the USFL last year, Brandon Aubrey,
Mhm.
and he ended up. I don't know if you saw much about him because he's a kicker. He doesn't get a lot of coverage, but he ended up
Uh,
leading the league
uh,
in field goal percentage. He led the league in
yeah.
touchbacks, and he
I.
hit the two or three longest field goals in Cowboys history all last year from this
Mhm.
rookie kicker. They didn't put him in the rookie of the year conversation because he had played pros in the USFL. That's a
Oh.
a
Okay.
learning experience for me and probably a lot of listeners is
Mhm.
if the guy has played in another professional league, he is
Mhm.
no longer considered a rookie. So
Right.
otherwise, you might have had a kicker in the rookie of the year conversation because
Right.
until the last game of the year, he hadn't missed. And so, long story
Oh.
short, don't be shy of going to get a kicker out of the UFL. If that guy's
Yeah.
available and you guys need a kicker, don't be worried if he comes because that guy booted. I saw that guy. I'm not a big
Yeah.
UFL fan, but I just watched the opening week and I was watching that game and it was a game winner too. And he kicked
Right.
it twice. He kicked it twice.
I
First
heard
time
about
that
that.
the opposing coach called a timeout, he nails it, and then they're like, "Oh, what a great timeout here! Now we're
Oh
going
my
to
God.
ice the kicker," and he nails it again. 64-yard, unbelievable.
Wow. I really like the kicker from Alabama this year.
Yeah, I mean, rookie kickers. I'm always a little afraid. I'd rather bring in a free agent or something, but
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see. The rookie kickers usually don't turn out to be great at first, and then they kind of there's
Right.
so much pressure, right? Everybody's
That's a good.
watching. You know,
Right.
so I don't know if I would draft a kicker. Honestly, there's probably free
I
agent
don't.
kickers sitting there right now.
We
Kickers
just
don't
got
get a
one
lot.
though. We
They
just
don't
got
get a lot
one
of love. There you go. You got your kicker.
from the Vikings.
Oh well, there. I don't know about that, but just
No,
kidding. No,
but
he'll be fine.
I mean, Brian, our friend, mentioned Mason Crosby. He was bad his rookie year.
Yeah,
Look how well he did. And
yeah,
then he went to the Vikings, and then he was bad again.
yeah. Yeah, but you don't want somebody to be bad their rookie year if he's your rookie kicker and you're trying to win a Super Bowl. So
True. Okay,
yeah,
never mind.
I don't
I
know.
take that back.
I don't
I
know
don't
if
know
you
what the
draft a
Packers
kicker.
are
All I'm
doing.
saying is I don't know if I draft
No,
a kicker.
yeah, but then we got the Georgia kid too. From
Oh, the kid with the glasses, the
I don't know.
Bankston or whatever his name is. That guy's funny. Yeah,
I don't know.
he's
But apparently he's really good. But we
good.
haven't seen him yet. Because that
Right
was
on.
after we signed him after the Cowboys game. Like after we lost against the 49ers is when we signed him.
Right on.
Mm. Mm. What are your top? This is always a fun one, but seems how we have you on is going to be a little more fun. What are your top three Cowboys best moments? Not naming the Super Bowl wins or Super Bowls.
Yeah. It'd be so easy if you just said Super Bowls.
Mm-mm.
Is it? is in my lifetime, I've got to see. I mean, I've been alive for five, but I've got to see
Right.
four at least that I can remember really well. So um, the "How About Them Cowboys" game, that clip you see, not Jerry Jones, you see Jimmy Johnson standing up
Oh.
in the locker room. How about them Cowboys? That was the NFC Championship game, the 92-93 season.
Mhm.
Young Troy Aikman, young Emmett Smith, young Jimmy
Right.
Johnson. They
Yep.
roll into San Francisco. San Francisco, um, in San Francisco, it had rained the day before, and San Francisco refused to put a tarp on the field, so they go out there and it's muddy and it's hostile crowd, and they're slowing down Aikman and Irvin and all that with the mud, and the Cowboys just went in there and kicked their butt, won that game, and went on to win the Super Bowl. So that would be my favorite non Super Bowl win. There's another one that really sticks in my mind, and you're going to love this. We go back to, I want to say, 94, 95, Thanksgiving Day, um, and Troy Aikman was hurt. So they go in and they're playing Brett Favre and the Green Bay Packers on Thanksgiving, and Jason Garrett, of all people, not my favorite guy. Jason Garrett is our quarterback,
Mhm.
and they go in and they just lay an egg the first half, and they're down in the second half, and he said, Cowboys ended up winning, or it wouldn't be my favorite, obviously, no
Right.
spoiler there. But what Jason Garrett said at the second half is he said his wife told him just throw the ball up in the air and Michael Irvin will catch it, and that's exactly
Oh
what he
wow.
did. He ended up with 300 and something yards passing in the second half. They lit it up, and the Cowboys beat the Packers on Thanksgiving Day, and they went on to win the Super Bowl that year. I've all, being a Cowboys fan, you always get that Thanksgiving Day game, and in
Yeah.
my experience is if they win that Thanksgiving Day game, and they get 10 days off because it's a Thursday game, they're set up for the rest of the year. If they lose
Yeah.
that Thanksgiving Day game, it's trouble. It's a lot of trouble. So that was one that gained momentum and pushed them through. There was one other regular season game I remember back in the 90s, which was also another game at San Francisco, that they went in and were not favored, and Steve Young's going to run all over them and this and that. And they won that game and went on to win a Super Bowl. I can't specifically remember what year that was. We won so many in the 90s. I can't remember.
Right.
Just so I wish that was the case now, or I have to struggle to remember. But yeah, it probably, I'm going to say those three games would be
Yeah.
my favorites. Beating the
Okay.
Niners, and it wasn't that we beat Green Bay in that Thanksgiving game. It was, and you may know this already because we chatted before the pod, but I have a lot of Packers fans in the family. My family,
Right.
my wife's side is Packers fans. They're from Northern Indiana. It's Bears and Packers up there,
Oh
and
wow.
they're
Yeah.
her dad was a Bart Starr fan, and we used to
Nice.
watch Packers games, and he'd say, "Come on, Bart," and I'd say, "It's Brett." "Oh yeah, yeah, Brett." But he would call Brett Favre Bart Starr, and can't
Oh.
blame him. They do kind of
Yeah.
sound alike. So
Right.
I've watched a lot of Packers games. So imagine me at Thanksgiving, all the families in one house, and I'm the only Cowboys fan, and Troy Aikman's out. There's no Troy Aikman, and here's Brett Favre throwing the ball around in the first half, and I'm like, no, I don't even want to eat turkey. But they got it. They got it done in the second half, and no one would speak to me the rest of the night. But it was a great Thanksgiving. I mean, that's my
Yeah.
favorite Thanksgiving, when the family won't talk to you. That's perfect.
Hey, at least you guys
Just,
got a turducken this year. What the heck?
heck yeah, yeah. That
And
I
Jordan
mean,
Love didn't get his.
no, yeah.
Boo.
That's yeah. You guys seem to be in that Thanksgiving Day game a lot too. I know it's Detroit and
Yeah.
Dallas that are set. And for those young people out there that say, why is Detroit and Dallas always get a Thanksgiving Day game? Well, the history of the NFL, they wanted to have a Thanksgiving Day game, and
Mhm.
they put that out to all the teams. And there's only two teams that responded with a yes, and that was Detroit and Dallas.
What? I
Nobody
didn't know
else,
that.
yeah, no, nobody else wanted to play on Thanksgiving. That's a
Wow.
holiday. We want our guys to have the day off. So they stepped up and they volunteered, and now everybody wants a Thanksgiving Day game. And the NFL is
Yeah.
like, well, this is tradition at this point. We're going to keep it with those two. So
And
obviously, I like that. tradition.
Maybe we could see that again this year with Packers and Lions on Thanksgiving. I don't
Is
know.
that who are they playing on Thanksgiving? I don't. Oh, they haven't
I
set the
don't.
dates yet, right? Yeah,
No, I mean, imagine that. Like, or no,
that should
Packers
be the game.
Cowboys would be fun on Thanksgiving, but we don't play you
That
guys
should
this
be
year.
that should be the game. It should be Detroit and Green Bay. That should be the
At Detroit,
Thanksgiving
though.
game.
At Detroit.
Yeah, it's always. What do you guys don't care? You could beat them wherever you are. Don't worry about that.
Oh, maybe not. Um, this is a fun one. My friend recently said this one, and then we didn't do it recently for some odd reason. If you could think of any NFL award that doesn't exist now, and who would you choose to win on the Cowboys staff or current team?
A award that they don't have now.
Right. So like
How about
NFL, or so like fan of the year, or like stuff like that,
yeah,
like that.
the biggest choke of the year? Maybe we got
Ooh.
some. We can give that to. No, I'm just kidding. Um, yeah, I mean, there's so many awards that they may already have and they just don't get publicized. But
Yeah.
kind of going back to our kick Brandon Aubrey had a great year, and I'm
Mhm.
sure there's an award for best kicker, but it
Right.
doesn't get publicized. So if there is an award for it, and I really don't, I mean, do you know anything about a kicker award? But
I don't think so. Not that I
and
know of.
I'm sure there is one, but maybe the NFL can make a bigger deal out of it. I find it ironic that the leading scorers in our league, this American football stuff,
Mhm.
the leading scorers are the kickers. If you look at who scored the most points every year, it's always kickers.
Oh, you're right.
You know,
Yeah,
and
that's
yet
interesting.
that nobody wants to pay them and nobody
Mhm.
wants to draft them and nobody cares who their kicker is and they forget their name. That's the guy scoring all the points. So
Yeah.
maybe how about a major award for the most points scored every year, whether
Yeah.
you're a kicker, quarterback, running back, wide
Mhm.
receiver, whoever scores the most points gets an award for that. How about that one? That'll work.
Okay, so like I told you, Isaac, my friend from Fun Football Podcast, he was supposed to be here, but then he was busy. He's actually helping on a show soon with someone else. Um, he's trying to be a troll to you guys, and I'm so sorry for whatever you guys did to him. I don't know what you guys did to him, but he said he wants to know if you looked at the Cowboys roster, and how do you fix it with the draft picks remaining, with your minimal draft picks.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, the draft isn't tomorrow.
Right.
Brandon Cooks and Stephon Gilmore were signed by the Cowboys very, very late in free agency last year.
Right.
They were not signed at the first part of free agency, and they both ended up being major contributors
Mm-hmm.
to their success. So um, the draft isn't tomorrow, so I can't say, what
Right.
the question says, how do we fill that many, needs in the
Yeah.
draft? Well, we don't know exactly how many needs there will be. And the other wild card is, are they going to trade draft
Mm-hmm.
picks or players for picks on draft day?
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, we've got more draft picks than we anticipated. So
Right.
um, I'm more like, let's wait and see. A
Mm-hmm.
wait and see attitude would be my answer. But
Mm-hmm.
my short answer is something that I've given already a couple times on the show that he might not have thought about, is that the Green Bay Packers went to the second round of the playoffs with a bunch of rookies. So maybe that's the new way to go, and maybe the Cowboys are playing it right, and we're all being played a fool by thinking they're not doing anything. Maybe the plan is to go get more picks and get a bunch of rookies out there that
Yeah.
can contribute and
Maybe.
make a run. And then if you make a run and you lose, like you guys did,
Mm-hmm.
you've got more optimism for the next year because look at all those rookies that got that
Right.
valuable playing time.
Right.
So, I'm not in panic mode yet. No panic over here.
One team that Packers said, Gutekunst said multiple times, he's going to trade picks for players multiple
Yeah.
times, like
Yeah,
veterans.
and that's the fun part of the draft that we don't. There's nothing we can do to anticipate that. All that stuff is going on in secret. We don't
Mm-hmm.
know. Right
Exactly.
now the Cowboys they don't have a fourth round pick. They traded that
Right.
away. So are they going to go and not pick in the fourth round, or are they
Yeah.
going to trade their second round pick for two fourth round picks to pick up
Mm-hmm.
more picks? We don't know.
Yeah.
So,
No.
until it happens. But I'm not, like I've mentioned already, the core of the team is there. You know,
Mhm.
Anybody who says that the Dallas free agency, they've lost in free agency and they've lost all their players,
Right.
that's just simply not true. The the player, the only player I think that they lost that they really wanted to keep
Mhm.
was their offensive tackle, Tyron Smith. I think they really wanted to keep him, and he just wanted too much money for them. But Tony Pollard, if they wanted to keep him, they would have paid him before the end of the year. They're ready to move on from him.
Oh
And
yeah.
all the other guys they missed. Tyler Biotish was a starter, but like I said, mediocre center. He's serviceable. He can get the job done. He's not an all-pro guy though. I'm not going to
Okay.
miss him. So
Okay.
yeah, I mean they got plenty to do in the draft. They've
Mhm.
drafted pretty well. I mean, Dak is a draft pick. CeeDee Lamb's a draft pick. Micah Parsons
Right.
is a draft pick. I mean, Jerry and Steven and Will McClay, they've drafted well traditionally. So there's no reason to panic over here that they're not going to draft well this year. I think they will. I think people are going to be surprised that they're going to have some rookies out there. It could be exciting, just like I say, you
Yeah.
guys did it. It can be done.
Do you have any questions for me to answer?
What? Oh, you're down in
Okay, that's
Florida. I
not
was going to
fair.
say, I keep thinking that you're in Green Bay. I'm like, man, you're outside in Green Bay. I was going to ask,
No,
what's going on in Green Bay? It should be under the ice and snow at this point. No, I mean,
nothing's
uh,
happening anymore.
my question is, because we hear the Bears fans on social media, they're pretty hyped up about getting Caleb Williams. Do you in Packers
Mhm.
nation over there, do you guys have any concern at all that the Chicago Bears are closing the gap and it could possibly even win one game off you next year? Or is that just something we're
I
not
mean,
even worried about?
I don't think it's something that we should be worried about this season coming up because we don't know exactly how Caleb Williams is going to pan out
Yeah,
ultimately.
yeah,
I think if the Packers play the Bears week 1, which we've been in the past, so maybe that would be fun because
yeah,
I honestly don't think the Eagles are and the Packers are going to play week 1. I don't think that's going to happen.
yeah.
And
The
I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah, it's gotten to the point where we actually start feeling sorry for the Bears. I mean, you can't kick a guy when he's down, right? I mean,
Yeah,
you,
that's true.
but you don't want them getting their wins at your expense either. It's like, well, I hope they beat
Right.
somebody else.
But
So yeah,
exactly, beat the Commanders. The
yeah,
Bears have to play the Commanders. Beat the
yeah,
Commanders. There. That's your win.
there
I
you
mean,
go.
but again, I've seen the Bears don't pick up Caleb Williams round 1. And
Yeah,
it's been JJ McCarthy recently.
yeah, I know. Caleb Williams visited the Bears this week,
Yeah.
and Ian
And that's a
Rappaport.
pair. What's interesting about Caleb Williams, he's the only team that or the Bears are
Yeah,
bringing in.
he's only visit. Yep. So I mean,
So
that's a
it's
done
pretty
deal then, right? I mean, it's a done
at
deal.
this
I mean,
point,
you might
yeah.
as well. Let me get my pencil out. Right, here's my pencil. Caleb Williams, round one, Chicago Bears. Done.
Exactly at this point.
That's it. It's a done
It's pretty
deal.
much penciled in, yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
So interesting.
yeah. Where can the fans or do you have any final thoughts, I guess? I don't know.
Yeah. No, this has been fun. I appreciate
Yeah.
you having me on. What I try to do,
Mm-hmm.
I'm on Twitter, cowboy_reg.
Mm-hmm.
That's Reg with a double G. Got to have that double G. So I try to be a objective Cowboys fan, and I hope that your listeners can see that. I've been on a couple Packers pods now because I do have some history with the Packers and know a little bit about that. With the family and everything, and in being in the Midwest for 25 years, and
Mm-hmm.
before I moved to the South, and you will testify that that is a good move. Get down south. We're enjoying the weather. But yeah, I just appreciate you having me on, and you can find me
Yeah.
at cowboy_reg and Sons of Star Pod. So
Oh,
our podcast is called the Sons of Star, but our Twitter handle is Sons of Star Pod, all one word. You can find that on my Cowboy Reg X
yeah.
handle, and I just try to cover all sports. I've been covering women's college basketball a lot this week. Not going to get into it today, but I did coach college athletics and I coached men's and women's college level athletics. So I'm a big fan of women's athletics. I might be one of the only people on X that cover sports that is giving the women their due, which they deserve. So you're going to see some college basketball coverage I had this week. I cover the NFL, the NBA, the NHL, try to cover everybody, but I am a Cowboys fan. I'm not going to hide it. When the season starts and Cowboys start winning games, you might have to shut me down for a while because your feed might blow up. But I just try to be
Never.
objective. Try to be objective, and I got friends now on Twitter who we collab and we support each other who are Eagles fans, and they're running Eagles content creation pages, and we're all buddies, and that's the way it should be. But when the season starts, it's game on, right?
Yeah.
It's going to change a little bit. But I hope some of your listeners can come check me out and
You guys,
see that I
please,
give everybody a fair shake.
what is your subscriber goal? Do you guys have one?
Oh boy, yeah. I mean, when I started my X page, I thought, hey, if I can get 1,000 subscribers, I'm going to be
Yeah.
gold. Today I'm hoping to hit 4,000 today. I was at 3,980 something earlier this morning. So hoping to get to 4,000. My co-host on Sons of the Star, his wife and he just welcomed a brand new baby boy about 10 days ago. Yeah, so we're excited about that. But the flip side of that is that we're on a hiatus right now with our podcast. So we haven't done one in 2 weeks, and we're letting him get his baby duties going and getting everything rolling. So we are a weekly podcast, but we are on a small hiatus. We're hoping to get an episode out this week. We're hoping, but in the meantime, I'm here for other podcasts. I know the Big Cheese Brian over there, Brian Ragu or what, he's been asking me, and I'm getting ready to go on his. And I went on with Matt, and Fun Football. I've been talking to them, so we got some more stuff coming up for me. There's a good time for me to do it. Yeah. So I'm not going to get on there and argue with anybody about your team and my team. As you found out, I'm objective. I'm objective, and I'm going to tell you, hey, your team's good. I'm not going to get on here. Your team sucks. No, your team's good. Your team's good. Let's talk about it.
So the 41 of you guys that are watching, please follow him. Please do it.
Hey, get me over. Hey, you got 41 people watching. That means you can put me over 4,000. Put me over 4,000. I only need a few more guys.
Please, all tag him after this podcast is done. Please do it.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Are you doing anything for the draft? Do you know?
Yeah. Oh, great. Thank you for asking that.
Yeah. There
is a couple podcasters called the Cowboys Can Fan. And the Cowboys Can Fan is super, super popular. There's a lot of shorts on them reacting to plays, whether they're a group of guys out of Canada, coincidentally, but they're down in the Seattle area, Pacific Northwest, and they're Cowboys fans, and they're hilarious. First of all, drinking on the show is just part of the show. They drink heavily on the show, but they've invited us on for the draft. So we're going to be on Cowboys Can Fan live during the draft. They're picking up different podcasters, Cowboys podcasters, obviously, but they're picking up different ones, and then they're going to come back and let us know which day of the draft. And hey, maybe it'll be opening night, maybe it'll be round 2. Hopefully not round 4, since we don't have a pick in round 4. If they ask me to do round 4, I know where I stand. But so that's our big one that we're looking forward to. They're kind of big in this podcast industry. They're getting a lot of clicks, and their shorts have gotten hundreds of thousands of clicks on some of their funny shorts. So that's our next big one. And anybody out there that wants to have me on, we could talk.
I was just about to ask you.
Mary only had to pay me $10,000 today to be on. So
not true.
Oh, you didn't. My agent definitely sent over a contract. I thought you approved it, but
oh wait, no. Well, it would have got sent to IOJO. So
well, you can just send Jordan Love over to the Cowboys, and we'll call it even.
No. Anyways, Isaac and I both decided that we're going to stream the draft live. That's where I was going with that comment.
Outstanding. And I'll be on there live with somebody else. But yeah, it's gonna be a fun day. Couple days. The draft is great. Yeah. The draft is a lot of fun.
We're trying to get a fan of every single team on. Like
All right.
for their draft picks. It's gonna be crazy.
All right. Well, it might. I mean, maybe I can help you out if it's a night that I'm not on the can fan. So we'll
Yeah, just
definitely.
let me know.
Yeah, let's stay in touch on that one for
Yeah,
sure.
because Isaac's doing day 1, I think, because it's the shortest, and then he's leaving Mac to do days 2 and 3.
Right on. Fair enough.
But oh shoot, I have to play the outro because I will get in trouble. Joe, please do not fire me.